Hello, everyone, and welcome to the ninth episode of our CSGO podcast, 808s and BFig. I'm Jack,
I'm Tom.
and well, what do you know? Nipper back at a major.
Gone too long.
I mean, like judging on based on the current form of this team, I'd say not long enough.
Yeah, they kind. If it wasn't convincing, they're technically back at a major. Like it was a very awkward sputtering just dragging their lifeless corpse over the line, but they're technically in a major again.
Like how Nip did at this last EU minor, like it made me regret saying like a couple podcasts ago, hey, I think that it's really disgraceful that Nip don't even get a chance to play at this major. You know what? Maybe they don't. Maybe I was wrong. Because I'd much rather have a different team from a different Nordic country here playing instead of them.
I mean, it's always a defensible argument because Windstrike are playing here, and yesterday, I half watched them lose, get 2-0'd by fragsters who are a bunch of 12-year-olds who are just really talented. So they're by that argument, most people should be there. We should at least make the qualifier if they're legends. I mean, come on.
All right. Speaking of just awful fucking teams, we're gonna kick this show off really quickly with a discussion of the EU minor and just like the minors in general. Like the EU minor is honestly like the only one that really matters because it's the only thing.
Mm.
It produced. Actually, no, the Tyloo is interesting, but like it like
But they
that like
always make it.
yeah, they always make it because it's the Asia minor. But like the EU minor is like is probably like the most competitive way to get into a major. And the problem is, like you're losing out on better teams in favor of worse teams because regions that don't deserve it, like the CIS region, get a whole minor to themselves. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, because I'm trying who made out of CIS? Because Hellraisers obviously the CIS
Yeah, no,
minors
that's
are
the
it's like
only.
Hellraisers should be at the major even though they're in a slump, but I think it was Team Spirit who made it who are shit. They're just not a good team. The Asian minor is just a fucking waste of time because every single time it's Renegades or Tyloo. One time it wasn't Tyloo because one of the Tyloo players it came out that he had an old VAC ban, so they got disqualified. But that was the one time with where it wasn't Tyloo Renegades.
Yeah, like there's honestly no point to holding that minor. Like they should just give it to Renegades and Tyloo and then have them bomb out in like the new round of 24 thing.
Because I've always said, even going back to Nip briefly, that they I want to see them because they're exciting and frag movies but out in groups. But I don't know, seeing just those two teams get through is disappointing because I would have much rather seen Ents, because watching Nip struggle to defeat Sprout was pretty sad. Because I that Sprout team, to contextualize them, they have one good player in Nato Sapphics who I actually really rate, and then the rest of their team goes along the lines of, so remember those guys Dennis and Spitty who got more or less dishonorably discharged from tier 2 CS when they got booted out of Mouse Sports for being shit players. They're the second and third best player on that team because Cyclone and Percy are so fucking garbage.
Like
That team is not good, and Nip barely beat them.
I think the dumbest part of like this whole minor thing isn't just that is probably like that like after the all of the after they decided who like was going to the major, like Optic and Nip were going to the major. Big ups to Optic, by the way. Shouts to Yugi,
Yeah,
heart of the cards,
boy.
the real star. He's finally going to a major. But like after they determined that Nip and Optic were going to the major, they were just like, all right, let's have a final. Let's see who gets 3,000 extra dollars per player. Like that's so stupid. Like Optic clearly didn't give a fuck that final, and so it was basically just like Nip, like, well, let's make a little bit of extra pocket change and say we won a tournament.
Nip are just we gotta take what we can get. Whereas most teams, you're just already popping the champagne and shit, fucking already emotionally, they've already emotionally checked out, we've fucking done it, I don't give a fuck what happens. I mean, it was kind of cool to see Get Right that invested and that emotional, like crying when he made it. But I do want to say, like, is a bit like lame seeing everyone in the scene. Like every time fucking Nip play, they just post these like pictures of Nip from like 2012, 2013. Like, oh, to go back for but a day and watch the golden era of my boys gone too soon. R.I.P. Like pray for the ninjas. It's like fucking hell. Like chill.
The ninja.
And it's like celebrating like the hours Get Right's putting in where he's like playing at like 2 a.m. and shit before. And it's like, okay, that's really cool that he's doing that, but he kind of should be because he's been pretty bad for a few months. And to his credit, he was really good in the last couple games they played at this tournament.
Yeah, he came up when it mattered most because he is the clutchest player ever.
Yeah. Those other like three majors just didn't matter enough.
Yeah, no, let's not talk about those all those second place finishes. Like at the end of the day, like when we come back and like look back at Get Right's career, it's gonna be really interesting how people view like Get Right was like he won so many clutches. So like in a traditional sense, you say, oh, he's one of the clutchest players ever. But like he also
Mm.
lost like four major finals.
Yeah. Cause when you look back, it's kind of like he's only one of five in finals, but that's kind of what he should be because when you look back, it's probably only the first one that they should have won, which they didn't, and they won one of the ones that they shouldn't have. But looking through all the other ones, like I guess like I think they kind of came out where they should have, but it doesn't look super great when you're one of four. At least get to like and all it wasn't always like the thing where people make that argument against LeBron. It's like he was against like an all-time team, a fair few of those. Or had like a really shit team around him, whereas Get Right often had a very good team around him and was playing against teams who are around the same level. They just weren't the favorites necessarily.
Yeah, there was no lopsided odds. But we're gonna look back at that a different we're gonna look back later. We'll talk about that at the end of the podcast though.
I was,
The big
and
big
the other
big
thing I say is like honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Get Right retires after this like major. Like he might use this motivation to keep going, but that wouldn't be a bad look to be like he's overcome his like current demon, which is like getting to a major, but like and that's cool, but like to some degree it kind of says a lot about Nip when that's his main obstacle now is just making it to a major.
Yeah, like I don't know what Get Right can do. Like honestly, like I don't think he wants to reinvent himself as a player because he's been playing for so long and like that would be a ton of work. Like even more than he's already putting in. Like he'd have to just go like hard support and I don't know if he wants to do that. I don't see the benefit in doing that either. Like he's already done everything that he possibly could right now. He's one of the five best CS:GO players to ever play. Like
Yeah. His legacy is made, and I don't think he can climb any higher than he is now. So it's kind of, to some degree, like, I assume he can get like a job at Nip afterwards because of all
oh
he's
yeah,
done. Like they'll hand him
100%.
a job, or he'll go to Twitch or some shit and hang out with Faflaren, and like he'll get on fucking old guys club.
Dude, listen, minus nothing plus get right on old guys club. That would be awesome.
That would be great.
Like I'm pretty sure like even get right like wouldn't fucking rage like nothing would. Like I think he'd probably understand that this is a fucking joke.
Also imagine like that's like having fucking I don't know, that's like having like Wilt Chamberlain on your fucking on your pickup basketball team, like just having a top five all time player rolling out with you in the pugs.
Timeout, buddy. Wilt Chamberlain's not top five. We're not
Yeah,
going there.
I probably he's people think he is, so I was trying to go for a guy who's very good, but I don't think he's the best. I don't
That's
know who.
fair.
I haven't done my mixtape list yet. So
Listen. We'll get there. We'll get there, buddy.
yeah.
But anyways, like outside of like Nip and Optic making the major, is there anything really important else that we need to talk about for the minors? I guess NRG bombing
Not
out,
really.
like NRG not
Oh,
making the
that's
majors really
true. Yeah,
embarrassing, just because like they've made 2 top 4s on LAN, right? And they couldn't fucking qualify for the
yeah.
major out of NA. Like,
That was the
yuck.
weakest NA minor we've had in a while. That was pretty fucking bad. Like that's an awful look. That was like, I guess them and NTC failing out of that minor was pretty, because like NTC looks like it's just gone instantly from being, oh, maybe they'll be good, to now they're just a trap for Phelps to get stuck in when we need him out of a contract onto like SK in like 6 months or something, or like now. Whenever Fallen comes around and goes, right, we gotta like sort this guy out and get him into this team. He's too good. But yeah, NRG's the worst one. Like they should have. That was like such a slam dunk for them, and they just didn't do it.
Yeah, they fucked up at the layup line and just like not only did they fuck up at the layup line, they like fucked up at the layup line so hard they like broke their leg on the back on like that back support.
Yeah, like that. It's pretty insane that they like, didn't they lose to E United or something?
Oh, I think
It
so.
was
Yeah, they lost
bad
to E
luck.
United. Yuck. The
It's pretty fucking horrific look.
the fragsters of
Where's the
NA, some are
stats?
saying.
They lost to E United and Complexity. Also, yeah, that's a good reference to a tweet I made when I was mad at the people getting too hype over E United.
Listen. The only way to up our reference game is to reference each other's tweets.
The
Just become
ultimate niche.
yeah, just become the most self-serving fucking podcast on the planet. Our Twitter handles are already in the name of this video.
That's the new segment, like this week on our Twitter.
I didn't really tweet anything interesting today.
We slam poetry, read our tweets back, and review them.
Tweet reviews. I wouldn't hate tweet reviews honestly. Like that that's
Honestly,
a good
that's
idea.
fire. You're gonna keep that.
That might be a player review segment. Sorry, a player break segment.
Yeah, it might get a bit rough during the player break. It's gonna be talking about like fucking like Kingwin going to bat in like fucking Serbia at some random LAN and like reviewing tweets.
All right, so I think we're done with the minors. Let's talk about the
Yeah,
big
fucking.
fish, the real meat of this podcast. So last weekend, Eleague Premier wrapped up its playoff round, and it saw our boys, as if there was ever any doubt, Astralis winning it, taking back the crown, ending this NaVi era that had been prematurely declared, apparently.
Hashtag not worried. Hashtag never worried.
Never worried. But outside, like I think one of the craziest things is that like at this point, Astralis' dominance is just normal. Like they didn't drop a single fucking map this entire tournament. They just absolutely blew teams out of the water. And like to put it in context a little bit, like all the teams they played, they had really good matchups against. But like people
Mm.
people are gonna say, oh, they didn't face Navi, they didn't face FaZe. Well, they didn't have to because Navi and FaZe were so bad at this LAN. But again, we'll get to them later. But
Yeah.
like they just like Astralis had like the perfect bracket to just run a train on them. Device put on a fucking showcase as an MVP. Like this is probably his most like one of his best tournaments ever.
Yeah, he was pretty unstoppable. He had like one map where he wasn't great, and then everything else he was fantastic. No one could get near him a lot of the time. Like he, especially on like Nuke and Inferno, generally he was fucking nuts.
That nuke map against Team Liquid where it got pretty close, and then on their CT side, Device got the op, and he held down like all of outside. Like Team Liquid just couldn't go outside. He got like 2 kills every time they tried to go, no matter when they went in the round, whether it was early round, whether it was late round, whether they tried to go secret, whether he was holding from up like on that balcony above heaven. Like he just always got 2 kills and shut down that area of the map. Like that's what you expect from Device.
Because we do have a really weird conversation in this scene where it feels like when you talk about the best, like who's like the best player at the moment, or like rank the best players, winning doesn't get factored in a whole lot. but like I'd probably put him like second or third right now. Like surely he has to be.
I mean, he was the highest rated player at this land for a reason. Like, he was incredible.
And like part of it's down to like the Astralis system's very good for him, but I wouldn't. He's not a real Tom Brady, just a system player, you know. He's he's like he reminds me more of like how I talk about Kawhi Leonard. Like I think Kawhi, if he has no injury problems, like he's gonna have a fantastic year on the Raptors now because he if you take so I'd say if you take Astralis with the same like or like put him into a put Device into a team with the same level of talent as Astralis, but in like a looser system, Device probably gets a shitload like more kills, probably better stats, but he's not going to win as much as in this team. He does the most effective thing for him, but not necessarily the best thing for his stats. Still very very good for his stats, but he's all about being effective in this team.
Another thing that I really liked about Astralis is that, I mean, it's why they're probably my like this lineup is probably supplanted like the previous Astralis lineup as my favorite of all time. They're always doing new shit. Like like even still, like they keep redefining the meta game in terms of like using mollies to like force force engagements. Like like we were watching the nuke game together, and they threw a molly to clear out one of the vents against Team Liquid, and like the guy rushed out, and there was a guy waiting in the door room like to kill that guy peeking out, like just as like
Yeah.
a setup like that. Like it didn't pay off, but like you could see how it was materializing, and like you see stuff like that all across their game.
There was like there's a thing they're doing on Nuke T side where it was pretty often on T sides when they could. One of the guys would go like straight up the ladder onto the roof and throw a nade through the vent, and it would always like tag the Sunny, who was the A site player, when he would come down from heaven. So it's like essentially just telling him you're gonna lose like a fair bit of your health, or you're gonna delay your push and like be susceptible to us just like rushing and swarming the site. And it's like shit like that. It's just like the little things as well as overall just innovating their game. It's so fucking hard to stay on top of this scene because as soon as you're on top, everyone watches your demo, steals your shit, and then like figures out ways to counter it. But they're able to still win very consistently, which is like very few teams have done that ever. Like that's why I think a lot of people make the argument that Fnatic was a greater like the top Fnatic team was better overall than or their legacy is better than SK's because SK was very on and off over a much longer period of time, whereas Fnatic were very very consistent for a while, and they were like consistent. They never had bad lands. They were all like winning a shitload of them, and like teams were really struggling to get on top of them. It really took like insane shit like Kenny S in that perfect existence system, or eventually like TSM coming up to stop them.
Yeah, like the like Fnatic, like if it hadn't been for like the really incredibly controversial like Olaf boost shit at DreamHack Winter 2014, like their top four streak would have just blown LDLCs out of the water.
Yeah, and even then, losing to an incredible LDLC
Yeah,
team,
exactly.
so
Like that quarterfinal matchup was a fucking travesty of
nothing to
seeding.
be ashamed of. Like, because I will say now is I want to do some quick stat chat on this team because they HLTV put out this new like a bunch of new stat. Is this I can't remember if this is new, but like they put a bunch of new stats. But this is some stats from them. So when you watch Astralis, you can see that their CT side is like, or the T side is world class. Their CT side is like one of the all time like absolute fucking straight fire, unbelievable. So right now, I think the craziest stat is right now on CT side 4v5s, they have a 48% win rate, or at least at this tournament they did. And the next highest is like Team Liquid with 30%. So like nearly 20% ahead of anyone else. But overall, they have a 40.4% win rate in 4v5s and a 77.2% win rate in 5v4s, which is insane considering that just under 60% of the time they're getting the opening kill. So they're immediately putting themselves into like fantastic situation. They're just so good at closing out the rounds. Like their stats are pretty unheard of.
The even more
And that's
ridiculous The even more
And that's
ridiculous.
in the sorry, I was gonna say, and that's in the context that their T side stats for this LAN are a little deflated because they're still very good. They're just deflated because a lot of their T sides was like we just put up 12 to 14 rounds on our CT side, so we're just cruising to the win right now, and teams are just like fighting back, doing whatever they can to like make the scoreline look flattering, i.e. Mouse Sports and who else did that? I think Liquid did that on that first map.
This also has to be one of the craziest like identity shifts in terms of CT side for like any team ever. Because just one roster move, like just one roster change with Magisk, like has made their CT sides godlike. And their CT sides famously got them in hot water when they were slumping at the end of 2017.
Because yeah, I think Magus is just turned into his best possible self. Like he's not always getting the crazy stats, but like you watch him play and like that. So he had that insane half against Liquid on Inferno, which was where he was just getting all the kills, but he's still doing similar shit from Pit and A site Inferno when he's not getting the kills. And it's just the way he plays is so insane. Like people remember that like 1v2 he had where he device dinked the one guy, Magus kills one, throws down a molly, so Nitro has to run through that molly to get him, and obviously can't because he's defusing the bomb and he's got 5 HP to go through a fucking Molotov. But in order to do that, like in order to get in that clutch, like he's in the pit the entire round. Like they try to molly him out, he drops a smoke, stays in there, I think kills like one or two guys, stays alive, and then he gets to play out the 1v2 clutch. But the thing is, like Liquid cannot get out of the site at all because he has complete pit control. They can't get to graveyard. They can't even really do much. Like Nitro probably like should have died to device because he was forced to go searching for a 1v1 because they were so scared of getting wrapped on by both players in the site. And that's just down to like a really cool decision and really cool individual play from Magisk. Like he's one of the best, he's maybe the best site player, like straight up just site player in the world right now. Like it's fucking insane.
I'm really glad Magus turned it around because like when he was coming up with like Dignitas in like 2016, 2017, like I was a big fan. And
Yeah,
I'm
I was
I'm really
always
glad
thinking he
just
was the better of the config Magus pairing. It's because like when you look at their skill sets, he had the one that looked more consistent than like big ups config. Like he made it work with that more aggressive style, but like Magisk I think has become the more valuable, but not as like config's the better player. Magisk is more valuable right now.
yeah, I agree. It's just like how many players have made like aggressive playstyles work consistently? Like simple and like that's it. It's just such a short
Yeah,
list.
definitely. I want to say in terms of value, I was tweeting about this, say that like how many players are more valuable right now than Glaive? Like he's
He was the
in
second
terms of what
highest
he's
rated player on
doing.
this team for this tournament.
He's
It was
oh yeah,
nuts.
like he's putting out a fantastic fragging output for an in-game leader, and he's doing it whilst like running the best system we've ever seen. So like, because right now you're looking at all the in-game leads in the top five, like in the tier one teams, pretty much, and you're either looking at like a skilled player who's held back, who's having their like individual talent sort of held back because no one else on their team seems to be able to in-game lead like Chris J or
Nitro.
Nitro,
Yeah.
or you're looking at like some tactically accomplished players who are like essentially bots in the server. Like, and someone put out some stat sheet of I think it was recent, like the last few, like 3 4 months or something. And like in terms of in-game leaders, Glaive is like dominant in terms of like tactical ability, like obviously win rate based on these results, but like also individually. Like it's insane that they don't have to compromise at all. They've immediately got like the best in-game leader in terms of individual player and the best in-game leader in terms of actual leadership. Like I think right now it's pretty inarguable that he's the. I guess I mean it's technically arguable because it's Fallen, but I think he's the best in-game leader to ever touch this game.
I'm actually really interested to see like why Glaive can focus so much in his individual game. Like, is it just that because we know Astralis does so much prep for stuff like
Mm.
this for all these tournaments? Like, it's the reason that they'll occasionally skip tournaments right now. And like, I think that probably does. I think that probably does help out Glaive a little bit because it probably instills like the vision of what they want to do for a round in every single member of the team a little bit more. And so he can probably ease off like micromanaging the reins a little bit more because he knows what everyone's going to do. And so he can focus on his crosshair a little bit more. He doesn't have to stare at the mini map.
Because there was some put out that stat where when Magus joined, his level like shot up. Because he was always like, because there was even times where I think this helps to some degree. Like he played a long period of his career as just like a star player on heroic, and
Or
then
like
went
second or
back to
third
the in-game
star. Yeah.
leadership role. And I think like that's usually when you add a new player, it goes down, but like it just shot up and then just stayed up in that really good position. And I think it speaks really well for Astralis that they can be so tactical but still not have that thing where you see a lot of in-game leaders who are super tactical struggle because they have to spend so much time micromanaging and thinking about the game. Whereas it seems like they're so good right now, he can kind of leave the team on autopilot, especially on like CT side. Especially because he's actually the guy who plays a lot of those rotator and like middle roles. Like he plays connector. Like I was saying, I
On your
think
stream. Yeah, it was on your stream. I remember you
yeah, it
saying
was
it.
stream. It was it's so valuable that he's talented because connector is a role where you're constantly you get so much information, you're constantly like moving around between mid and there's a lot of different positions, you're going to play a lot of different people in like areas on the map that you're helping. It's super cool if you can have an in-game leader there because he can just make so many split-second decisions, reads, and get the information. Like he's probably the best guy to interpret information. But the problem is it's a very difficult position because you're constantly taking fights and getting peeked by people. So most teams you put like Nico plays that shit usually. Like it's most of the time you want
like Crims plays that.
Yeah, you can't put an in-game leader there mostly because they're not skilled enough, but you can put Glaive there. And that's like a little thing that's like super valuable, I think.
I mean, I think like a legitimate discussion that we have to have like is Astralis is probably like the smartest like man for man team ever, right? Because like Device,
I think so.
incredibly intelligent player. Glaive is a big brain genius. Xyp9x is also an incredibly smart player.
Well, I mean, it speaks to when the reason they got rid of Carrigan is because they wanted to go more tactical, whereas like most teams, they go the opposite way. They overthrow their tactical in-game leader and just like put in someone who's gonna like enable them to do whatever the fuck they want.
Listen, I want to get headshots, and my in-game leader wants me to throw nades. I'm not about this.
Like, like fucking like FaZe and all these other teams are like throwing out their fucking like therapist in order for someone who'll just like give them fucking that straight heroin that is like rushing and like just dry peeking everything.
Listen, I'm only going to this therapist so I can get Valium. I don't want to talk about my feelings. One last point that I want to touch on about Astralis, unless you have more to say. But after the event, Glaive tweeted out that he wasn't sure if they'd ever hoist a trophy again after they bombed out of Boston. Like, I think the Astralis like members are starting to come to terms with the fact that like they might not have like saw the KRB move coming, but it was a good move. Like I think now in retrospect they're seeing that like that roster was kind of it. Like they had kind of capped it out.
Because dude, there was talk of there was like I don't think it ever progressed at any sort of level, but there was genuinely talk of Glaive going to FaZe after that LAN. Because I think or like and on top of that, like a ton of Danish moves because they thought they were dead. FaZe were fucking obviously triggered as fuck because they lost that final. But yeah, they stuck it out in the like. There was a like Thorin had a pretty good tweet I think that he put out where something like, Kirby goes to the Astralis boys. He's like, I'm taking my talents to North, and they're like, why? And he's like, listen, I've played it out the 14 million different scenarios, and this is the only one where Astralis win. So like just fucking locking himself in North makes them the best team in the world. I guess he took the hero's exit.
Yeah, Kirby deserves like actually literally all the credit for Astralis' dominance right now.
Dude, it's so funny because he'll the like when Stanislaw left Optic for like, and honestly he had like far more reason than Kirby did. Not that Kirby didn't have any reason, but when he left, like he got fucking railed by that. Obviously that fan base is a bit crazy, but God bless him. But he got railed by them as a snake. That'll never happen to Kirby because he leaves and like their second event with Magisk, they look incredible. Like the team just got like way better. So like I don't think anyone no one would give a fuck if like KD left OKC and then OKC just became god tier.
I mean, like, I think OKC is probably going to be better without Carmelo, but like, they're not going to be like dominating the NBA better without Carmelo.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like it's because they got super good. It kind of saved Kirby's ass a bit because like now he's not gonna get railed by the community like a lot of players do if they like team. Shoutouts to Snake's Law.
All right. Speaking of one of Snake Law's former team, let's switch over to Team Liquid. I thought that like
Mm.
this run for Team Liquid was it was really impressive, and it was also probably like one of the more entertaining runs like in a tournament this year. Because like there were a lot of really cool storylines with this Liquid team. One of them a little tragic, but like it was nice to see it kind of pay off that day. So Liquid lost in the final to Astralis, but the day prior, um, Taco's father passed away the morning, like right before they played NaVi. And man, oh man, Team Liquid, they shit pumped NaVi pretty much.
Yeah, like it was two games where I think Navi got it was like to 9 rounds and 10 or 11 in the other one, but like Liquid were always in control. Like I did not think Navi were gonna win that series at any point. Like, well, I predicted Liquid to win it because I'm now Liquid genius, but like, but like no. When I was watching it, I just didn't feel it for Navi at all.
I mean, we'll get into it later about NaVi, but I think Team Liquid did a really great job on that Dust 2, when on Dust 2, like when they were on their T side of like nullifying Simple's impact. Like
Yeah.
they'd scout out where he was. I'm sure they watched like the few demos that Navi played on Dust 2, because Navi are not a great Dust 2 team, even though they should be a lot better. But like they scouted out hard where Simple would be, and they punished him a lot. Like he didn't have very much impact on that CT side at all. Most of his kills and big impact rounds came in that T side, but like they'd always molly out his position. They'd always throw nades at his position, just frustrate him, make sure that he was taking like difficult angles.
Yeah, they made his life really hard for him, which I think is the key to this team because I think the last tournament was really a blip for me. Like for them, like they're really ride or die on electronic and simple, so they're going to. So if you can shut down those players, like Team Liquid did really well, that's how you're going to deal with them. Which is, and it's also impressive considering the big issue with Liquid is they do not have an all-star AWP. They just have like a quite good AWP, which would be okay if it wasn't. We're in a world where like every tier one team has like a god tier AWPer pretty much.
Yeah. Um, one of the things that I want to talk about is like Twist. Twist had some really standout moments in games this event, and it's just kind of pushing that. Hey, Twist is gonna be the guy soon.
Yeah, I think he's the NA savior. He's the real Stewie 2K the whole time.
I'm just so frustrated with like the I guess like the meat like the whole narratives like surrounding the NA scene, and particularly like Cloud9 versus Liquid, because I think it's incredibly fair to say that despite the fact that Cloud9 have like won a major, like the Team Liquid organization is probably more decorated than the Cloud9 organization in CS:GO. Like
I'll
they've
say at least that they've been far better. Like I'll even say the Team Liquid organization. I think they've invested even more than Cloud9. Like that's the crazy thing is like they've always been paying the buyouts, like doing what they can to make this team better. And it's been rewarded with some really fucking good teams and really good CS, like peaking with this team right now.
Yeah, but like the saddest part is like Cloud9 are gonna live forever because they won a major. And like this Team Liquid team is like in danger of becoming like that Navi team that we talked about last podcast, where it's just like
Yeah.
they were really good like in early 2017 when they had Simple and Guardian, but like they just always ran into Astralis and they could never get further. And like it feels like like Team Liquid's in danger of doing that same thing. Like they're just
Yeah.
like they're playing the highest level of Counter Strike that NA's ever had, and they're not winning anything, so it doesn't matter.
Because it sucks for them because like this Team Liquid are even I'd say they're probably even better than that NaVi team, but like Astralis have just like ascended to this insane level and just like gone past like what we think is like mortally like possible with a fucking keyboard and mouse, and it's like it's kind of unfair for Team Liquid. Like their fate is gonna be there's gonna be a really good Thorin video about them in like 3 years when like remember this team, they were actually really fucking good.
Um,
And it'll be like us just like wanking off about them on Twitter every so often like usual.
yeah, just time. All right, time for me to go back in time to 2014 and find this really good team that like got like a couple top fours, but they were hot in the streets.
Yo, Thorne actually had a really good video on that that LDLC team that like was actually really fucking good, didn't like win a whole lot. And I agree that team was really fucking solid, like that first happy LDLC before before then they lost a couple guys to Titan, and then they formed like the party boy party boy French team.
The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame of
Yeah.
CS:GO. I actually never got the pleasure of watching that LDLC team live because like one of the first tournaments I remember watching was DreamHack Winter 2014, and like that team had already died
Mhm.
by then.
You know, they were fun.
You know,
That was
I
it
heard
was
a
a
lot
weird
that
time.
I heard it was really weird though because for my entire CS watching like fandom, like Happy's never been a tactical in-game leader, and I've always heard that the LDLC team
Oh
like
yeah.
did like basically invented how to play T-side cash with Molotovs.
Yeah, it is a weird time looking back, like Happy actually doing tactics, but yeah, that was I enjoyed that team. Like I wouldn't have minded if they got to do some more. Like, but
There
oh,
was
they're a great lost to time story, I guess.
there is one thing that I do kind of want to talk about with Liquid. It's the little differences between them and Astralis because like
Mm.
there's this narrative running around that they are mini Astralis, and I think there's a lot of truth to that. But like it's the subtleties in how they play. Like the differences between them and Astralis, like I think the biggest things for me is that like Team Liquid, like they get saved a lot more by individual plays. Like and I think that does come down to like their player mentalities and like aggressiveness. Like you'll rarely see like the only player that I think makes flashy plays on Astralis is probably like Dupree. Like he's known for like the crazy deagle headshots and like winning
Yeah,
like
the
1v3s and shit.
outwardly crazy plays, yeah.
Yeah, but like Twist does it. Like Twist did it a lot this land. Like he just ridiculous fucking clips. Eleague does it. Like Naf will do it on occasion. And like that especially shines in retakes when they'll just like run in and they'll just like bomb out of sight where like all three of the guys will die in like 1 second. Like all three of the guys in post plants will just die in 1 second and they'll get the bomb and Liquid will get the bomb defuse. Like you rarely see that from Astralis. It's generally the retakes are a lot more methodical, but like they're a lot more willing to take riskier fights. And I think it's less ideal, I guess. It's less efficient Counter Strike, but like it's a lot more entertaining, I'd say.
It's like having the clutch gene. It's kind of like an intangible to some degree, but there's definitely a thing where when you see like an insane or because the Strauss actually get a shitload of multi kills. Like I think they get the most in the entire scene, which part of that is because they're like getting a lot of wins. But part of it comes down to like when they make a play, like okay, retakes are a really good example. When Liquid win like an A site retake on Mirage, often you're talking about like Elise just fucking went ham and just like two bulleted three guys and it was insane. When Astralis win one, you're like, that was fucking incredible how they were all, and it's someone maybe Magus killed 3 guys with like fucking crazy headshots, but what you're thinking about and talking about is how well regimented it was and how they all like threw their nades in at the right time, came in together, made it like impossible for the other team to win because they're constantly getting double peeked and naded, and there was a guy here and there, and like that shit's like, I think that is definitely the difference. Like Astralis have like found this weird way to like almost always rely on the team play, whereas yeah, Liquid, it feels like a lot of time they come down to scrapping for rounds, and it's good that you can do it. It's a good skill to have, but like it's better to not have to. Almost.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a hard concept to talk about, and it's, of course, it's not absolute or anything, but like yeah.
Do you have anything else to say on Liquid? Because I've kind of exhausted my thoughts on them.
No, it's just God bless our NA boys.
And we hope they win every tournament that Astralis aren't at.
Yeah, I think Astralis need to skip some events so Liquid can get some trophies, please.
Like I just need this. Like this team deserves to win titles. It's just
Yeah, I need
they have
them to
the.
be
It's
around.
just like it was just born at the wrong time. It's like how Gary Payton and Sean Kemp, like great team, 65 win Sonics team, and then they just ran into like one of the greatest NBA teams ever. It's fucked up.
Yeah, it really is a bit of like they're getting MJ'd.
Now let's talk about NaVi here. I think it's fair to say that Simple is completely washed up. Should retire from CS and has done all he can.
Yeah, it's time to ship him off for draft picks.
But
Send him to Overwatch.
it's really crazy though when we talk about Simple because like for this event, Simple had a 1.19 rating, which across an entire event, which you play where you play 8 maps, that's pretty fucking good. But the problem is our expectations for Simple, like doing ridiculous shit, is so high that like that's not good enough. And the worst part is for Navi is like that is also not good enough because they need him to do more to win. And it seems that his impact as a player has dropped off a little bit.
Yeah, like I think he was never gonna stay that like insane god tier level, like unbelievable individual level, but he was always gonna stay at like the best, like hands down the best player in the world. But yeah, it is that thing where it's like why I was so triggered about Zeus talking shit is like he's straight back to being a bot like he ever finished. He like left being a bot for 1 map against Astralis and immediately went back to it for the rest of his fucking career. But he was talking so much shit when it's like, dude, I get that your system is facilitating Simple, but your team ride or dies like so hard on Simple and now Electronic to a decent degree as well. Like I don't think it's at all to do with how good Zeus is an individual player or like anyone else really. Like Edward is immediately just straight back to being a fucking pointless player. Like why is he here? He's like I don't see him as some great like veteran support who's like giving them that intangible degree, getting them those like the gritty rounds or anything. Like he's just not good, and you can't have him being like shit when Zeus is gonna like Zeus obviously can't leave right now because he's the in-game leader and he's a bot, but you can't have Edward being shit if you already have Zeus in this team, and then Flamey's inconsistent, so there's gonna be games where you have 3 of your fucking 5 players having a fucking shit map, and then it's just like Simple and Electronic trying to just drag you through it.
I think I
It's
going
not good.
going back to Edward, like I hate playing armchair psychologist with players, like because like whenever Skip Bayless says I think it's the funniest shit, but like I legitimately question whether or not Edward gives a flying fuck when he plays Counter Strike because generally like veteran players are like respected and well known because they make really great decisions.
Mm,
Their like technique is like really good, but like there's the skill just might not be there. The reactions aren't there. And like with Edward, you can see that the reactions aren't there because he's old as fuck. But the problem is he's stepping out and making awful decisions on CT sides routinely. His crosshair placement is hot fucking garbage. Like I've seen LE players have more consistent headshot level crosshair placement than fucking Edward. It's disgraceful.
dude, the insane thing is, so so very similar things can be said about the French player Sixer, but like you watch Sixer and it's like he never gave a shit. Like he never cared about CS:GO. Like he just he has like this talent that carried her from 1.6 and that carried him enough that he could like play on some like fucking okay to shit teams and do a pretty shit job. But like Edward used to have all of this shit and he just forgot. Like it he just forgot how to play the game and he doesn't seem to care. Like I don't know if it's confidence or he just doesn't like yeah, he doesn't give a shit or what, but like it's 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 insane. Like I've never seen a player just become shit because they just stopped understanding the game on like any level.
Like especially for someone who's been playing the game so long. Like Edward's one of the all-time greats of 1.6, and like it just seems like he like just picked up the game like 9 months ago.
Yeah, it's this team's really fucking weird. Like
Also, let's talk about one of the worst series of Counter-Strike we've ever collectively experienced. That was the NaVi Mouse Sports match in the group stage.
oh, that's true. Like
Like I only watched one map of that shit because I couldn't take it. Like I think I also had things to do, but like God, I thanked the Lord when I had to fucking leave after that Inferno match. Like that was just awful Counter Strike.
I remember like people are like I remember watching that and like seeing people in like Discord like man this is so fuck close it's fucking hype and shit. I'm like I want to die. Like I hate watching these teams play like this. It's so fucking bad. Like they do not like how is like this is meant to okay maybe mouse sports because you've just made a roster move. You're a pretty loose team. You're still getting the chemistry. You're still figuring out your space. Like who's gonna do what and where like your timings. But Navi are meant to be a tactical team. Navi are meant to be a team on a fucking roll, like to get their fourth tournament in a row. Navi's like fucking era is about to start. Like it's a pretty fucking rough start to the Navi era. If like they're struggling to fucking put mouse sports to bed in a way where it's like you losing to mouse sports isn't the worst because they've got fucking really talented players and they can peak and go off. But like if it's like playing against them and performing like that is a big issue to me. Like they managed to come out on top, but they still fucking struggled. Like I'll say this is a huge player break right now ahead for Navi. Like if I'll say if they don't get like of course unless they run into like Astralis or maybe Liquid like early on, if they don't get top four at the upcoming major, like they have to make huge changes. Like I'm saying, surely one player has to go, maybe two. Like not even an argument. They have to make roster moves if that happens. They probably have to anyway, honestly.
Like I just think back to the evergreen Danny DeVito tweet. Edward, retire, bitch.
That's good. That's fine.
Like I think it's time. We
Yeah,
are
that's
going
true.
to
They have
start
to
a
go.
dialogue.
Like it's time. Like fucking. I don't know, dude. I just why you know. Like I
This
don't.
is this is just the episode
Like
where we tell all the fucking old greats to just fucking retire. The future is now, old man.
it's very totally beautiful. Like, cause honestly, like I don't know, man. Like maybe it's because like every player on this team, except for Flamey, looks like they committed war crimes at some point in their life. But I have to think that Edward seems to have like he's buried some bodies for someone in that organization. Surely, like he has to have. Like fucking what's I can't like the CEO or something
The
or
oil
the
billionaire or
guy
whatever.
yeah, the CEO like killed a fucking like a hooker accidentally, like woke up in like a fucking shitty motel room, like covered in blood, and didn't know who to call. Called Edward, and he dealt with it in like 15 minutes. It was like it's like leave this place,
You are a made
but
man.
he just like comes in like a fucking like the Breaking Bad suit with like a garbage bag and like a box of chemicals, and just like no one ever found out,
Like
and that's how he's on this team, surely.
Edward's just like the greatest cleaner of all time, and we'll just never know because we just think he's out here riding his bike.
Yeah, that would explain a lot to me.
Yeah, because like how is a man that rides his bike that much still fucking fat as shit?
That's true.
Like the bike is all a cover. That I will say that's one of the weirdest like player profiles in the major, where it's just that Valve put out. It's just like Edward riding his bike around Ukraine.
It's like that's what I think. Like I think he's a simple man with simple goals, and God bless that. But like,
And a dark
did like,
secret.
yeah. And like, yeah, with a too simple with the same contract as simple, in fact, because that's how esports works. But when you look at like who the other bike riding guy, like Neo is in incredible shape, and he just like rides his bike all the time. What happened to Edward? Like his caloric intake must be insane if he just rides his bike all the time and he's still fat. Like
All
I
right.
don't know, like again, legendary player, but fuck off.
Like we have now come out as a body shaming podcast, despite me being horribly out of shape myself.
And I think that's the Navi wrapped up, I suppose.
Yeah, no,
So
I
on
definitely agree.
to
Like
mouse sports now.
let's talk about mouse
Like,
sports.
get this shit out of my mouth.
Let's put more shit in your mouth. Let's talk about snacks.
Ah, I will say this, like, just to briefly say, pretty good land from mouse sports. Pretty good.
Yeah, I guess.
Beat
Like,
FaZe with Fnatic in best of threes.
and Oscar, like aside from the Astralis series, like where I don't know how hard we want to go on him because we watched the demos and Oscar did nothing wrong. So
I'll
even
say
though the stats are bad, like he didn't really do anything bad. It's just I don't think he tried to do enough.
like yeah, I'll say like because he actually had a really good land for the most
Yeah, no,
part, and then he
outside of
comes
that,
up
like
against Astralis and
he
he's
was putting up
bad.
big fat numbers. He was relatively consistent. He was incredibly consistent by Oscar standards, but
Because I think part of it is like so he is going against like arguably the best or most effective AWPer in the world, and Astralis have a system that's so good at countering stars, but like listen, as a fucking as the resident Oscar hating podcast, like I have to get on this soapbox and say like I was tweeting about this, like he's the reason they will never beat Astralis. Like his stats for this thing. So it was like he went, and this is like in, and so this isn't the like they're not even the worst stats overall. It's just for a main, like they're bad, but like for a main star, they're horrific. Like at Eleague, he went like 28 and 36 over 43 rounds on 2 maps. And then the last time they met, which was IEM Sydney on LAN, this he went 60 and 94 over 122 rounds on 5 maps. So you get a total of he goes 88 kills, 130 deaths over 165 rounds and 7 maps, which is a fairly fucking good sample size where he's been absolutely lackluster. And this way, I think they absolutely cannot beat Astralis in a series until they sort him out. Because when you look at the blueprint that people have set for beating the Danes, it's a huge amount of it is about amazing individual play throughout the most of your roster, and that only scrapes you over the line. If you can't get your primary star going, like I don't see how you're going to beat Astralis, who is their main, like one of the main teams who's shutting them down right now. Because I will say both the maps they played against Astralis was like Astralis would like smash the first half, and then Mouse Sports would like claw it back a fair bit, and then let's like they would claw back their dignity and then lose.
I mean, you gotta listen, Tom. If you're not gonna win the game, you have to get moral victories.
Yeah, I'll say I don't want to hate on him, but Chris J really struggled at this line. And I'll give him a bit of a break because they just made a roster move that's like really odd, and I don't know how it's gonna like where they're gonna put snax, but like he really wasn't very good at this land after having some really good performances over the last 2 or 3 lands.
Yeah, I think he probably has to micromanage snacks a lot, but I don't think that whole micromanaging snacks thing is working out too great for him because Like where does Snax fit in this team? Like it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I suppose in a later segment we'll get talking to where he fits out of the server, but in the server, in the out of the server he doesn't fit many places. So hey, back to
Back to
fat
fat
jokes,
shaming.
boys. No, but I like honestly like I guess we're back to shitting on legendary players because fantastic player. Like he's made his legacy, won a major, won a lot of shit. But I don't get the merit of dropping $300,000 on snax. Like he's out of form, and it's not even like you're like, or if he gets back, it's gonna be super good because it's like no, you have to make another roster move because he doesn't really fill a role that you don't already have. Like oh fuck, who plays B site on? Okay, so B site Mirage in that Astralis game, it's really funny because him and Oscar would play that site together. Um, and they're both like the fucking smokes come in and they both try to do like the exact same shit on both sides of the site where they're trying to like hide in smokes, dance in and out, and shoot at people. And it's like, why do you have the same player like 4 times on this team? Like I don't understand. Like Sunny, Oscar, Snax, and to some degree Chris J, they want to inhabit so much of the same space that it's just I don't get why you would pick him up. I don't get it at all. Like I think overall, like Sticker gets them like benefits them more because he actually frees up space and plays the hard support to help other guys. Like I don't get this at all.
Like it's just like the Snax and Tarek moves felt like the same fucking move to me. Like obviously Tarek's in better form than Snax, but like it just like the rules made absolutely zero sense, especially considering the team's fucking needs.
Yeah, like the only thing, like, is I will say the one player who isn't playing those roles, Rops, has kind of adjusted really well. Like, he's kind of reminding me of like a young Magisk.
Yeah,
Like
no. Like he's a great
he's gone
anchor.
with that
Like
like
he's a
sort of
really
thing.
good
Yeah, I
anchor.
like him a lot right now. Like he's the one guy. He's the one thing that seems to be working, even though he was a bit hot and cold.
Yeah, because
Like
like that
as
he
was
was dog
Sunny,
shit
but
during
yeah.
that Navi series, but like everyone else, he was pretty good.
Yeah, I think it is a bit of a worry because like Sunny and Rops are kind of trading going off, and I think part of that is because so that time when they were both sick was when Oscar wasn't in the team before Snax joined when they played that LAN in Brazil, and it's like I think Rops to some like Rops can shine outside of that because he plays a different role to those guys, but like I think Sonny's wasted on this team. Like I think he's the guy I would gamble on out of all those and then like replace Oscar. But like I think he's wasted on a team where he's with Snax.
Yeah, it doesn't like this team just doesn't fit together very well. And it's really apparent because when you put them against a team that fits together incredibly well, they just get gobsmacked.
And to make a positive point though, like I will say, this is through the lens of tier one CS. Like I did like a tweet thread about it before where earlier this week where it's saying that the thing about this team is that when you look at where they were like in like 18 months ago, like March 2017, like what they are now is kind of incredible because they were a fucking mess of a team. They had Chris J, Dennis Spitty, Oscar, and Lol. They just lost their fucking superstar Nika and they look dead as fuck. And this was before Oscar had really got going. Like he was still a liability. And they like the pickups they make, like when you look over the guys they got, like Sticker like had to go through a role change. Chris J reinvents himself as an in-game leader. Oscar has to figure his way to being like a genuine like top 5 AWPer. Sonny is an up and comer who'd been to a major, but he was unproven, didn't know if he could hang at the top level. Rops was a fucking pug star who had never been on a proper pro team, and they somehow turned that into a tier 1 team. Like that's incredible. But compared to other team one teams right now, they're fucking lacking and they need to like sort their shit out.
I guess my question is like with this personnel, how do they even sort their shit out?
Yeah. Because that's where that like tweet thread ended kind of where I was like maybe somehow this explains the snax pickup because it's like if every roster move you make turns to gold and like you've just got the fucking GM hot hand, maybe you do pick up snax and be like, I mean, at this rate, he's just gonna get back to being like a top 2 player in the world because like everything we do works right now.
It's like, okay, here's a great analogy, and also proof that we are haters. So like this is like a classic Kobe Bryant game. So like Kobe gets off, he takes really difficult shots and he starts hitting them. So he thinks, oh, I got the hot hand, and then he runs up the court. Just like there's three guys covering him because he's fucking hot as shit, and they know Kobe's gonna shoot the ball, and he just jacks up this awful three, and he's like, oh bitch, that's going in. But nope, it clanks right off the backboard, and that's the snax move.
Yeah. And then you go like, what the fuck, pal? Set a screen, bitch.
Do we have anything else to say on mouse sports before we move on?
No, I think that's about it. Like we go hard on this team, but it's in the context of tier 1 CS. Like, listen, like we haven't we'll just get into quick fraud sports now because we haven't said it yet, but like yeah, it's like I think this team, they've put themselves down a really weird hole. Like I think they wasted 300k on snax. I think they need to remove him, and I think they need to remove Oscar to get better. But like they're still at a very good level now.
I will say like that Apex move looks more and more interesting, like as a what if. Like it obviously probably wouldn't have happened just because the buyout was too high for them, but like what if they just like kicked Oscar, kept Sticko, and then got Apex or something like that, and just made Chris J the main op.
If they got Apex and MBK, that would have been fucking that would have been interesting. Cause like, though I will say all the people who are like, oh fuck Carlos G2, keeping them in a fucking like keep them in a cell. It's like he's paying them. He did take a huge risk on them and actually has lost money on these cunts because they haven't managed to actually come out and get him a fucking return and win events. Like they've been underperforming. Like this G2 team where like honestly G2 paid the fuck ton of money and took big risks on this lineup and it didn't work out. I feel like I feel like they deserve a fair bit of money for those buyouts considering. Yeah, not to go on a tangent, but I guess it's I don't know who's next actually.
Fnatic's next.
Oh, okay.
I don't really have much to say about Fnatic, honestly. Like the only like the most interesting thing that happened to me was like Draken just like achieved peak Draken. Like he had a 32 frag game on Inferno, and then literally the next game in the same series he dropped 7 frags on Train. Like that
It's
is
okay because he was good on the first map of that series before that, so
yeah,
it evens out.
yeah, it's fine. It's fine though, man. 32 frags to 7 frags.
No one talks about Nifty being dog shit in the rest of the series where he dropped 50 kills. So
Yeah,
because
exactly.
this fucking the internet loves streaky operas, dude. I swear to God. But
Yeah, but do they
dude,
also love?
honestly, sorry, go on.
But do they love streaky operas who like beatboxing?
Oh, please. That's true. They actually do fucking love them. It's just no one in the scene loves him, so he'll never really, you can't even like. He's just like Michael Lele is just like out there like fucking in the fucking like blistering cold like rain like in the middle of the night, just like tapping on the window of like Red Reserve's fucking player house, just like please, I'll do it. Let's get back on a team.
I will do anything. But anyways, let's get back on track with Fnatic
But
here.
yeah, it's I'll say like this is not bad. Like this is not a bad start, man. Like for Fnatic, I was pretty like they took Navi to 3 maps with 2 of them being close. 2-0'd FaZe, took Mouse Sports to 3 maps, 2 of them were close. Like, this is their first big land where they've since they made the Draken move, like minus Lecker plus Draken. Still one of their early lands would exist. Like that's pretty fucking good if they're going toe to toe with tier 1 teams. Like I don't know. I'm excited to see where they go. Like the issue for me is that Crims is the only guy on this team who is at all consistent in terms of like fragging. And
Yep.
part of that's exists loose system, but like it's a concern when like honestly, Draken was like their second most consistent player, and
It's a
that's
big problem.
concerning. Very concerning.
Like Draken should be your least consistent player.
Yeah, he's meant to be like your wild card where like he can win you a fucking half or he can like just do nothing. And it's kind of meant to be like not that bad if he's shit. But I don't know. They to me they just remind me of they're just like a better nip, like old boys club with a bit of young talent, just cruising around tier two, just like not really giving a fuck. Like except for Cribs, like Cribs is fucking tilted all the time because he just wants to win. And like it's kind of a shame that he's trapped in this team. Because I would love him like on like FaZe or something or Mouse Sports.
I'm gonna say minus Rain plus Grims. My column.
Yeah, we'll get to the rain shit. I
Oh
got
yeah,
some
we will.
stats.
Oh buddy. But like I honestly don't really have much to say about this Fnatic team. Like
You
I
know,
don't
good on
know
them. Keep
when
going.
like I don't think they do anything like super interesting. Like I don't think that they're like they don't get like the craziest frags. They're not like FaZe where I'm just like blown away by their individual skill, but they also don't play like really tactical CS.
Yeah, they're an interesting matchup for a lot of teams, and they're fun to watch. Like, I don't think there's that much to them, which is that's the exist system and the players they've got. Like, I enjoy watching them, but like, yeah, there's not that much about them. Like, I think they're just going to be a really, really solid tier two team, like going like edging on tier one, but not quite getting there.
I've got a bit more to say about this next team though. Let's talk about the Brazilian boys and two Americans.
Mm.
MIBR. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. Cold Zero, for the first time in 2 years, has a non 1.0 rating at LAN.
First time ever.
Ever? Really? I
Yeah,
thought
this
like
is
super early in his
ever.
career he had one.
No, he's had like one or two like 1.00s or 1.01s, but I looked on HLTV. This is the first time ever he's been negative on LAN.
Oof. Like that does say something about Cold's incredible ability to like not be just a total like bot in the server. And like he did like to be fair, like he did just barely cruise over that cruise under that 1.0 line. He had like a
Yeah.
0.99 I think. But like still, like this was not a good land for MIBR. Like they beat just a dog shit dead Cloud9 team, and they barely beat them on one map too on Cash. Was Cash their map pick too? I think Cash might have
I'm
been their map pick. Let me look.
I think it was. Yeah, because Inferno was Cloud9's map pick and they smashed one Inferno. Yeah. Which is like that says a lot because like I don't even know what the fuck MIBR's map pool is. Like they don't
No,
have a
they
map
don't
pool
have
right
a
now.
map pool. Like they keep picking Cash, and like they haven't shown me anything super impressive on Cash. Like they keep losing like 16-10 on Cash to good teams. I'm just like, is this your best? Is this your best?
Like it is their first LAN after like a big roster move where they changed to like out a player for a completely different player, but like I don't know. This was a pretty hard Corralho like this LAN. Like when like I don't know. I don't want to say like it's awful because they put down Cloud9 like they bit rough on one of the on their map pick, but they did still put him down. And then the games they lost was getting 2-0'd twice by a very good Team Liquid. They didn't look great on those like Team Liquid games, but like that's not the most like damning result on paper, you know. I
Yeah,
think honestly I'm more scared about like how the players did because like the Americans were fucking just pretty bad overall.
yeah. Like Sui had one good map, and like honestly, Tarek had only like one memorable round this entire tournament with like the Deagle 3K on Inferno A site. Like other
Yeah,
than that, I just felt like I was literally asking questions while the game was going on, like what the fuck's Tarek doing? Like he's invisible. He's had zero impact, and he's an incredibly good Inferno player.
and it's like and it's the same shit again where it's like as mouse force where it's like I don't get this pickup because now you've got too many players who are very similar. Like I don't get this. Like the problem for me is like if you're gonna go for this like FaZe-esque loose system, which they seem to be doing in their play and in their roster picks, it seems fucking stupid when you have Cold Zero on your team. Like he's the guy you should build this team around, and that's why you should play like fairly, at least like fairly tactical, at least support him, because like you're gonna like what's the point of having coldzera in the sense that like you can like fucking sell him or whatever if you're not going to use him properly. Like I like there's rumors of him going to Liquid. Like that would make a lot of sense. I would want to play for Liquid if I was him because I feel like he would be a much better player on Team Liquid.
You also get reunited with Taco, a guy who you've had famously great chemistry with.
Yeah, because like he's and look, I think there is definitely an argument to be made that he like that fucking like Tom Brady meme aside, like coldzera is a system player, but he shines really bright when the system's like good. Like he's fucking fantastic in the right system. So I don't get why you're going to this loose style, and it's obviously hurting him because he like yeah, worst LAN ever, like looked really fucking weak on a lot of ones. Like I guess the only positive is like Fallen at times looked pretty fucking good, like he was kind of getting back, but it wasn't like dramatically so.
Like the impact you're gonna get from coldzera, like a system based around coldzera, is a lot more of the impact you're gonna get from like Fallen going off and having
Hmm,
a couple crazy rounds.
that's true, yeah.
Like you can build an arrow around coldzera. You can build like a 16-5 win on Inferno around Fallen going off, I guess, against a bad team.
Yeah.
Like I again, this is like a mouse sports thing. Like they've got themselves into this pickle, and how are they gonna fix it? Like people like all these analysts are saying, listen, give them time. I have faith in that they'll fix it. But like objectively, like how much are you looking at this as like they were great once, so they'll get back to being great, and like or like look at what they have currently. Like how can they make this work? And like what they have currently, I don't see how it works. Like even despite the fact that, like SK and the Brazilians are born winners. Like that's all they've ever done since they've been in CS:GO. But like so were NiP before they fell off. So were Fnatic before now. Like everyone's time in the sun ends, and I guess this is probably it for them. Like on
I
realistically, like I don't see how unless they completely like just blow it all up. Like I don't see how this works.
that's what I mean. Like I trust in Fallen like as an in-game leader, but like the problem I always have with is the analysts saying it is like if you actually watch them in the server, all the analysts are just like talking about the fucking tenure these players have. Like the whole time when they're like they're gonna be fucking good, I'm gonna pick them. This is where they bounce back. It's like when you watch them, there's no evidence to suggest they're gonna bounce back, and everyone keeps saying it. Like at least Sean Gare's made a tactical like or analysis based argument for it. Like most of people, I think, just look at the names in the server and go, yeah, they're gonna do well. But like you actually watch them and they don't look good. Like it's fucking rough. And yeah, I think Fallen can fix this team, but it would be with him blowing them up and being like in like 4 months, I'll be back with a fucking really good team.
Yeah, no, and I think that's the right move. Like you keep coldzera,
Probably, yeah.
like I could see keeping Fur, but like the obvious move is still get Phelps. Like, you have to get Phelps. You have to go back to speaking only Portuguese because you're losing a huge dynamic of your team with this like weird with these two like out of place Americans in terms of both language and role. Like you just have to like cast Stewie and Tarek back to NA because it's not going to work and it's probably never going to work.
Because people were saying like when they bring in Stewie and it was a mistake, and then they like no, we're gonna keep Stewie, like and the rumors were they're gonna get rid of Balter. Everyone's like, oh my god, they're like doubling down on Stewie, and then they just like fucking tripled down and signed another like similar NA player. Like it's I don't know what to do with this. Like I don't know what to do with this team. Like I don't think there's much you can say other than like they're like another team where they're gonna have a huge player break. Whereas, yeah, they're gonna have to reinvent themselves, or they're fucked heading into the major.
I think they're going to be fucked heading into the major, so that's my take.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
I just wish that like this team was more interesting, you know? Like I go into tournaments, I see MIBRs playing, it's like, oh, are they playing a team better than them? They'll probably just get smashed. Oh, they're playing a team worse than them? They might outskill them and they might make it really scrappy, I guess. Like there's nothing interesting. Like when Astralis smashes teams, they do interesting things. They do impressive things in the server. When Team Liquid plays, They do impressive things in the server. This MIBR team they're not impressive. They're just wasting these big name like legends of the game and Stewie and Tarek.
Yeah, I don't enjoy this team. Like I at least enjoy Fnatic. Like they're just I feel like they just meet expectations which are very low consistently.
Consistent achievers, I guess. All right, let's talk about the last, I guess, interesting team at this LAN. Let's talk about FaZe.
Yeah.
To preface this, I'd like to say welcome back to Nico Sports, Nico. Cause goddamn, like that last map that FaZe and Fnatic played on Mirage, like that was same map, different. Like obviously he wasn't playing Virtus Pro, but like this just reminded me of like that ridiculous game that Nico played on Mirage, his last game in Mouse Sports, where he just went fucking ham and it wasn't
Mm.
enough. It was never enough, and that's what it felt like it was at this LAN.
Because I will say like all the stuff I'm about to say about these players is with the caveat that it was a small sample size, like only 5 maps, but like Nico was so fucking fantastic over this LAN, despite them not winning any fucking series. But like and also Olaf didn't look like he'd fucking gone anywhere, immediately straight back. But like, dude, Guardian was not good and Rain was terrible.
Yeah, like honestly, like moving forward, I really wouldn't like if Olaf's gonna keep this up, I wouldn't hate Olaf taking more of Rain's roles and being more aggressive and taking more space because like
Because
that could be a little boost to this team because I think like after the chaos of the stand-ins, like they need a boost, they need a pick me up. And like I think Olaf being a really effective player and like them big upping him like in matches could be a nice like uptick for them.
I think that like because the argument for getting rid of because Olaf was always the one where like if you had to make a roster move, you do him was always that like well Rain's like a more
Skilled, I guess.
motivated, younger, like rounded player right now. But when you're actually I don't even know if he's younger, but he's less like he's less weathered, I guess. But like this he's just been really fucking bad for a little while. And so you talk about like if Olive comes back in and he's sick, then they're straight back to their old days. It's like no, two of their Carrion's still not fragging, but two of their like stars are still are playing like shit now. So it's like it doesn't matter. But like this, okay, so fucking stats time. This was Rain's worst LAN rating since Inferno Online Pantamera Challenge in mid 2015, which was a LAN even though it says online.
Wasn't that when he was in like that like Kingwin team, or was still with God, what was that like
I don't think it
LGB?
was LGB. I
Yeah,
think it was because before that was a couple LGB lands in 2014, but this was with that Kingwin team
yeah,
that had
that's
like
what I thought.
Fox and Michaelele and shit on it.
The stream team, the original stream team.
Yeah. Like this, I don't know, man. This is like because this is a team where you fucking really live or die by the aim, and you when you have like your stars going off, which they often do because they've got legendary players, it's fucking sick. But when you've got like two of your fucking stars cold and Carrigan's never really gonna be a consistent fragging force, like it's pretty fucking bad. Like this team looked really fucking bad. Like they didn't I don't know, man. They didn't seem in it at all. Like losing, or I guess I mean, those Fnatic games were close, but like they shouldn't have been at all. Like this team should be putting Fnatic to bed really easily.
Yes.
Like my concern is like is Guardian losing his motivation, like which is a problem he's allegedly had in the past. Like I'm worried that he's gonna lose it, and then I think that's gonna be a huge detriment to this team because this is meant to be Nico and Guardian like buddy cop film.
Yeah, like I want both those players to like end their careers with majors because like I think like Guardian obviously deserves it and like we've had a back and forth on whether or not Nico deserves it, but like fuck, Nico's too good of a player to not have a major title. Just in terms of like skill. Because he's one of the,
And
he's
he's
one of
only
the
really had one proper go at it so far.
yeah, but like he's just so in terms of like all-time talents in CS, like he's one of like the three best talents to ever play CS:GO. and like he deserves a major, like probably based on that alone, in my opinion.
Yeah, if this were a fair world, he'd have one, but it's not. So fuck him. No,
Yeah. Yeah,
I think he
just
should get
fuck one of
one.
the greatest players to ever play the game. He's a spoiled brat from fucking from like Bosnia.
Yeah, I'm kind of I'll be sad if he doesn't get one because yeah, like he's fucking fought really hard to try and get success, and he's got a fair amount of it. He's never, and he didn't get his era with FaZe. Like they didn't quite get it, even though they were fucking sick for a fair while.
Like all of
And then on
2017.
top of that, like there's a fair chance he doesn't get a major right now because he's in a huge. His team's having issues, but like I'm more concerned for Guardian's chances of getting a major from this point onwards because he's not, his team is, I wouldn't say he's failed because it wasn't always him. Like his team has failed now at so many points at the majors. And like I don't know. I feel like he doesn't believe he can win a major at this point.
I th- I don't know if like him getting married was him throwing in the towel, but like Guardians often talked about like this FaZe team is probably the last team that I'll ever play on because like
That's a dude.
he's like 26, 27. He's fucking married now. Like he's securing a huge bag in FaZe. So like he'll
Yeah.
be set for a fair bit. But
Especially with FaZe fans, like you can go to streaming and like this, a lot of these big orgs, you can just go to streaming and be fine afterwards. Like you'll have like people following you wherever you go. It's a shame. Same shit with Optic. Like you get on the good side of the fans. Like you can like live off that shit for a very long time.
but like
I'll say, dude, like any long term relationship engagement is thrown in the towel. Like, let's be real.
yeah, Tom's relationship advice: just play it fast and loose. You'll never lose your
Get the
motivation.
fuck out of
But like transitioning back to FaZe here, I think that probably the easiest fix is to just like the easiest short-term fix right now, and what they should probably focus on doing at the player break is probably like trading off like Olaf and Reigns roles a little bit. Like just giving Olaf more impact, like ability to make impact plays, and like
there.
hoping that like doing well in scrims will like maybe make Guardian motivated, but I don't know. Like they're gonna need Guardian to come online to win the major, like just straight up. Like they need
Yeah,
to
I don't think they can do it without him.
no. Like the only way that they can possibly win the major is if like Guardian has to beat Device like he did at IM Sydney.
Because yeah, that's the crazy thing is people are like talking about that narrative, like, oh my god, that's the one matchup that can really hold back Astralis. Oh, never mind. It's like his Guardian just like seemed to stop caring, and it's really odd.
Like
Like
awful
I think
timing.
maybe they figure out, because I think maybe you restructure the team in the sense that you start running stuff a bit more tactically set up for Guardian. So because I think you have to, that might help him get online if he can sort of fall back on a more fundamental system where he doesn't have to like go and actually like go out and do it himself. Which I guess is, we've criticized Oscar for not doing that, but still. Um Maybe do that sort of thing. And yeah, I agree. Like give, even if it's like not handing over as many roles, at least give Olaf a bit more power in order to say what he wants, or maybe prefer him if you're gonna like do something or whatever. Or because you would say like he's new, like he's back into the team like after a long time out. You got to work him back in, but he looked pretty fucking, like he didn't look like he'd been gone. Honestly, like he just slotted straight back in.
Yeah, like and like to be fair, like that's kind of the classic Kerrigan thing though. Like you just
That's
kind of
true.
put him back,
Carrigan's
just kind of
so
slide him
good.
back in.
Like Carrigan's the perfect leader for this team in so many ways. Like, and somehow like he's the perfect leader for this setup of players. He's the perfect leader for these egos. He's the perfect leader for a team who's gonna have like a bunch of stand-ins. This is why what they need to do: get Carrigan on a 10-year contract, and then what you do is you just fucking, every time there's like a fucking superstar player who's available, you just kick the worst player who's not Carrigan and sign that guy, and just make this like revolving roster, because that's what I want FaZe to become. Honestly, that'd be sick.
It's like no, just like create a gigantic like pressure vessel for like every other player except Kerrigan in the team. Just like watch
Yeah, and
everyone
it's
like
just
fall
Kerrigan
apart
like,
and become a mental wreck, and Kerrigan's just chilling like, all right, who do I gotta slot in now?
and it's like, like Olaf, you do not meet my requirements. Bring in the cold Zera.
The Zaiwu.
Oh yeah, that's true. In 2 years, it'll be like, yeah, it'll be like fucking Ziwu, Esperanto, Doc. Like one of those fucking FPL like cunts from NA is gonna like pan out somehow.
It's gonna be,
Rix has become good, dude, and finally pulled it
dude.
together.
If Rix ever becomes good, we're ending the podcast. We're just fucking. I'm done with the scene. Like there
Listen,
should.
we'll say the day Rick signs a contract with FaZe is the day we just end it.
Speaking of bad things from NA, Cloud9. I think it's time to like stick a fork in it, fellas. Like this, I'm just trying to come up with so many like like the worst thing I can say about Cloud9 is like the only reason I was even mildly interested in them this LAN is because they announced an Air Force sponsorship, and I had to get these jokes about the troops off. Like I just
Yeah.
like there's just such a fucking dead team that the only thing that I find interesting about them is who's sponsoring them.
Honestly, that like fucking clip where like fucking Valens tries to defuse a bomb with a robot was more exciting than like anything they did. This team is so fucking dead. Like I don't like you bear like I guess because you're salaried to turn up and you get a tiny bit of prize money, like yeah, turn up, but like fuck, what was the point, man? Like what was the point?
Like
Like
I would have chosen like I there would have been so many more interesting teams to fucking slot in at this. And like half of them are probably playing at the EU minor.
I don't even have it in me to just like kick the fucking long dead horse that is Skadoodle anymore. Like they got $30,000 in prize money for this, and that's more than they deserved. Except
It,
for Sticker. Sticker did nothing wrong the whole time.
yeah, like the funniest thing about this Cloud9 team is that like they had the three lowest rated players at this entire LAN. Like all three of them were on Cloud9, played 4 maps, got pretty much demolished in all of them except like two, I think. And like Astralis was gonna win Inferno eventually, but like Cloud9 kind of made it scrappy, and then just got dicked next map. And then goddamn, like when we talk about like the ugly matches between like NaVi and Mouz, like we were cheering for like the ugly match between C9 and MIBR to just like keep getting even more ugly, because it's the only way we could derive any entertainment from it.
It's watching two sets of players get paid thousands of dollars to play matchmaking on LAN.
That's the dream. They're living the dream. Like
Yeah.
frequency vibrations, aka freak.
God. What a deep cut. A, a thought fucking a fallen joint.
Listen, has Spike Lee ever made a better movie than Living the Dream? I think not. Do the right
This
thing?
is
Whack. He got game? Whack. Hell,
well,
he got game isn't even his best basketball movie. That would be the hottest take of all time.
goddamn. No, meanwhile, like Skadoodles like coming out like after every LAN, like at every boot camp, like fucking Basquiat's like dressed in white, just like reading that thing where he's like the whole time I was afraid because no one cared about me. And I did all those things like try to steal your girlfriend and take money from you and blackmail you about a murder that we committed because you wouldn't give me more money for free. I did it because I loved you. They're like, Scott, we can see you. What the fuck? Like we're trying to scrim, dude. What the fuck?
Oh god.
Great game. Great game.
Yeah, all-time game. 2K16. Play it. Like I just had more fun talking about fucking 2K16 shit ass like my career mode than I did watching any of Cloud9's games. Like that's how bad this team is.
Yeah, they're a waste of a spot.
And like I hope they stop. Like they'll probably keep getting invites to like these lands and shit because the Cloud9 name. But like looking at
Yeah,
this roster, like what do they do? Like they're just in like a stand in hell right now. They have two
it's gonna blow it
players.
up.
Yeah, like they're gonna blow it up eventually. I just don't understand what's the fucking point.
They're just gonna cut 3 players, like build around those two, because they want to stay in CS:GO apparently, which makes sense. But yeah, obviously you just keep Tim and Rush and build around those two. See what you can fucking muster up. Get Sean Gears out of retirement somehow.
Bring back. Hey, they still got FNS under contract. Maybe they're actually gonna give him a chance now because they've seen how far they can how far they can
May
sink.
as well. Fuck it.
But yeah,
It's the
like
worst that could
are they just
happen.
gonna start like now that NRG's bombed out of the minor? You think they can get NRG players?
Potentially, yeah, it might be that thing I was talking about where
Oh
Daps
yeah,
has to make it work or like improve this team because I think he's gonna get backstabbed by stars. We've seen this narrative a million times with in-game leaders. Like your stars fucking they get good and you're not winning. Like they're gonna just fucking leave as soon as they can if you're a lower team.
actually, you know what makes a lot of sense? So like this is actually a something that I forgot to put in the doc, but apparently there's been a rule change that was really weird and not outlined in the rules. But it like applied to previous majors where like teams that were at like going to the major could not sign like players that had like played in the minor. So like that had fucked Astralis once or twice. Oh, who else did it fuck once? Like it happened to another team too, famously. Oh, it happened to like SK because like they couldn't get. I don't think they could get Phelps on the team, so they had to play with Fox.
Dude, and then it happened to like every team at the major after Krakow because of KNG and Immortals.
Yeah, but like Cloud9 getting NRG players after like them bombing out of the minor makes a lot of sense now. Because like these players, like they've kind of seen we could probably get better support from Cloud9. Like there's more tenured players there. Like they want to make rosters now. Like they want to make roster changes now. Like depending on what NRG does at IEM Shanghai, which they're about to play the match like in 1 second. But like yeah, like that would make a lot of sense. Like they could get Cirque and fucking kick Skadoodle, a move that I've been talking about since the podcast started.
Yeah, dude, like we've just been praying for them. Like I don't know what has to happen to get rid of Skadoodle at this point. I don't get it. Like there was so the craziest narrative for Skadoodle I think came out on Twitter this week, sort of where I think like because they announced something where it's like, oh, it's Skadoodle's birthday, happy birthday Skadoodle, like after like one of the games or whatever on the Eleague thing. And I think like Maui Snake, who's he's like an amateur player who does like a pretty good YouTube channel for analysis, like tweeted something like, isn't his birthday every LAN? And that's when it clicked for me because I replied and I'm like, that explains a lot because it somehow he's gone on to like he's created like 365 Facebook accounts and each one has his birthday on like a different day. And so every time C9 Jack like gets up and goes like, we gotta cut this guy. He like quickly like looks at his phone and says, oh, it's Skadoodle's birthday. I can't fire a guy on his birthday. Like God, that'd be so cold. And just like goes back to what else he was doing.
That's
That
fucking
is the
brilliant.
explanation that makes the most sense. So what is it like? Occam's razor says that's the one.
It's the simplest explanation. Like
Yeah.
there's no way you can just twist your brain around Skadoodle being good. So you have to just twist this because that would be physically impossible. So you have to the more reasonable thing to think in this situation is that he somehow gamed them with like a basic Twitter like birthday notification.
Yes. Yeah, that's how he's done it. It's nothing else adds up.
So yeah, it's time for Cloud9 to start poaching the coffers of NA. It's time. They finally hit rock bottom, just when we thought they couldn't sink any lower.
Yeah. Anyway, we've talked about that team way too much.
Yeah, we really have. We should have just said their shit and moved on. Uh, so the final bit that we're gonna go into before segments is let's talk about some of the top storylines that are going into the break. We highlighted some of them above, but I think the three biggest ones for me are, can Astralis keep this up? Can they finally solidify that this is their era? 27 like 2018 is pretty much already a done deal. It's already their year. But like an era is something entirely different. Like if they can win this major, like that's a stamp on an era.
Yeah, because I think they'd have to win this major, or after, or if they like get a high placing would fail, then just like if they can snap up like a few events after, I think it's an era. But yeah, the major is the quickest way to do that. If they can just win that, I think it's like fucking 100% an era. Like they're like 90% of the way, or like I don't know, like 80% of the way to an era. Surely, like they've just been so insane. Um, and I think even if they don't, they'll be remembered like as like a fantastic team. But like to get an official era, they have to do it. Like I think they can. They keep reinventing themselves, and with the amount of time they have off, they're probably going to come back with like some fucking shit where they like they figured out a way to like triple damage like a single HE nade. Like they fucking I don't know. They can see through smokes now. Like I don't even fucking I don't know, man. Like I don't know what they're going to come up with, but I assume it's going to probably give them a major.
The next storyline that I want to highlight is, can Simple get back to taking over games again? Because like if NaVi aren't gonna win and they're just gonna play shit CS, I want to see Simple going God mode again like he did earlier in the year.
I mean, not that he's not taking over games now, but like, I know to the extent that he was before, to the extent where they actually win, which I honestly don't see it. Like, if I'm being
It's gonna be
real,
it's gonna
like,
be real tough.
yeah, like I think electronic is like helps out a lot now, and that's gonna get them some wins. But like, I don't think you can ask a guy to do the things he was doing in the past. Like, I think to the point where there's like I don't know. I feel like it would have like fundamentally broken something in his brain to do the things he was doing in the past and not win, and then look over to fucking like Zeus going like fucking 6 and 20 fucking, or like 6 and 30, and they're in like double overtime or something.
God, that was again travesty of a match. But
Absolute jerk.
yeah. And then I think the last like super big one is like, can FaZe, like is this Olaf like FaZe gonna stick, and are they gonna get back to being like consistently like the number 2 team in the world again? Like are like, is this Olaf in the long run going to make them better than Team Liquid?
I think there's a fair few teams where it's like where you're looking at this major and just like fix your shit in this boot camp, please, and we'll just see what happens. But yeah, I don't know. I don't I'm not holding my breath for FaZe right now. Like I they have too much talent to not make a deep run. But like honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they just bomb out of this major because they've not looked great. And with like if you got players cold, then I don't really get this team if a bunch of your players are just like super out of form. Like they just don't they can't function with a weak like okay, I'll say Astralis took a bunch of time off before Krakow came in, and they were actually not in great form, but because of their system, I think they actually like did pretty well, and they like actually beat the like SK who are like hot favorites for that major. But like I don't think this team can do it without being in form. Just the way they play. Like I'm definitely concerned for them, I'd say.
Yeah, like I'll be a little bit concerned too, especially if like I guess like sometimes like taking a month off will like reset players. Like maybe Guardian will just like chill out and he'll be like, all right, I'm ready to play CS again. And he comes back and he's like dropping 1.15 ratings all over the place again, like he was like in the first half of this year. But like again, unless that happens, like FaZe can't win the major.
Yeah, no, that's 100%.
All right, let's transition to segments. The final saga of Doc is over for Nuts and Pugs. He finally showed up and proved that he's a real human being on camera.
And
So
most likely not Kaylee, secret Kaylee.
yeah, most likely not. But so Doc went to, I guess, like a Face It safe house in the Netherlands where he lives, and played FPL in a controlled, observed environment, and was good. So Doc's legit, I guess.
Yeah, I'm still like, I don't know. I'm still fucking sketch about him. Like, I'm still think something's gonna come out because it's like I don't understand why there would be so many like conflicting stories, like and so many weird things come out of it. Like, at least fortunately, it looks like he doesn't cheat. Like, that's the main thing. Like, he is not a cheater, so that's like the immediate thing that at
Yeah, because
least that we
he
know.
dropped like a
Yeah.
he was dropping like pretty consistently good games there, right? I know I saw
Yeah, I
he
think
got like
so.
130 and 12, but
But yeah, I think this is, I don't know. I think it's very good for him. It's just, I don't know. I'm still worried because it's just he's had like the stories and the all the fucking shit that's come out. It's just, I don't know.
like I don't
Like,
know
it doesn't fill me with confidence for him being like not having some issue in the future or some like
like what
reveal
yeah,
happening.
whether it be like like extreme social anxiety or something like that. Because like I could see
Yeah,
that.
Joel's 2.0.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I will say, like, as soon as this happened, like a bunch of people like jumped on like Richard Lewis, like, you were wrong, ha ha ha, fucking idiot. Like, it's like fucking like that's just harsh because like, I don't know, man.
There was
It's like
so
that
much
shit
sus
where
shit
it's
around
like,
it. It was so weird.
what's that comment? It's like, if it looks like paint, if it smells like paint, if it tastes like paint, it's probably paint. And he was so fucking sus. Like, I think he even like, I think it was Richard who even made the comment where it's like, if some of these links to cheating accounts in the past like came out for a player like JW or at Flush is the best example, like someone who's had suspicion in the past, like that would be a huge red flag. Like, people would be really fucking worried about that shit. But and this is like a guy who doesn't even have any like fucking experience or tenure at the top level.
Yeah, it was just a really weird scenario, and like depending like for all the storylines and all the conflicting, like I guess web of lies we could call it.
Hmm.
I think that's fairly apt. 'Cause, like I don't know if I still don't know if any of those things are true. Like the only thing that's been confirmed is that yes, Doc is a real person and he is good at CS:GO.
Yeah,
All
that's
this
true.
like
That's all we've got right now.
none of this other weird shit's been cleared up, and like we don't have any logical explanation for it.
Yeah, with his apparently oppressive family who hate technology but also know how to put like
A
a
BIOS
BIOS
password.
password on a PC.
It's just like I don't know if this saga's done or not, but like it's definitely I guess an unsatisfying conclusion for
Yeah,
now.
it's kind of a bit of a, what do you call it, like a letdown. It's kind of a bit of like a, there's not really been, it's not like a crescendo.
It's like how the fucking Sherlock fans were like, "There's an episode 4 for season 4. It's coming. It's gonna fix all the shit." And like again,
Yeah.
we don't know if episode 4 of Doc is coming.
Or that theory, dude, the best theory was one where like, no, but they meant to make the season shit on purpose because of this. It refers to, it's all gonna come together, and they're like, yeah, there's no season, there's no episode 4, dude. Like, oh no, so it was just shit. Oh, okay.
Damn.
Y'all should just watch Elementary. It's just the American version, and it's way better.
That's right.
And it's
Eat
called
my
Lucy
ass,
Liu in
Britain.
it.
The one time we make a show better than you.
Yeah, you just had one fucking gold, and it was easy. Listen, that's my other hot take is that the U.S. office is better.
I mean, I think it's more enjoyable. Like my problem, like I have kind of problems with cringe humor. Like the cringiest humor that I can probably take on a consistent basis is Seinfeld. Like just because like the uncomfortable situations are like less uncomfortable just because the writing is like so good. But like shows like fucking like Ricky Gervais's The Office or Curb Your Enthusiasm, which Larry David, one of the co-writers of Seinfeld, wrote, like the situations get too uncomfortable, you know?
Yeah, I'll agree with that it's like, the amount of situations that are like that like that fucking classic anime shit where like a guy like is riding his bike and like a stick gets caught in the wheel and then he like fucking flies off the bike and through a window and accidentally his in some his he puts his hands out to catch himself just as like a fucking the tsundere like walks out of the shower and he grabs her boobs and shit and it's like, oh, what an unfortunate situation, and then he like panics and shit and it's like, this is too much, like
It's not only
like
too
I don't
it's not
get it.
only too much like in anime that'll happen like once or twice a show, like for an entire show's run, unless it's just like
That's
an
true.
edgy like bullshit show where like that's the plot.
Yeah, whereas like, yeah, every
But
episode,
like it's every
every
episode and
episode.
it's not a cartoon. It's real people doing these things, so it makes it even worse.
And I think there's a level where like in the British version, like when like the ending of these like the ending of these episodes is usually like Ricky Gervais's character is still like the laughing stock and he ends up looking like this pathetic fucking guy who's so out of touch and no one likes him, whereas like in the like Michael Scott gets a pretty happy ending despite being a fucking absolute idiot and like a real dick for a lot of it. Like he's definitely like an insane narcissist, but in he gets like a pretty good ending, you know, like I whereas like this is just like it's just depressing the way they end that series.
Yeah, and like I think the end of like the British Office is like Ricky Gervais like leaves in disgrace or something. He's like a door-to-door salesman in the Christmas special.
Yeah, the last episode is like, or before the Christmas thing after it's aired, is like Ricky Gervais's character begging them to not fire him. Like just like honestly like begging them, like please, I'll do better. I'll change. Like I'll be like just give me like a chance. And they're just like, no, we have to get rid of you. You're not good enough. And just like firing him from like the only thing in his life that he loves, which is this job. And it's like that's fucking like the comedy is just like how fucking, and it's not even like because you know like It's Always Sunny where like it kind of is that shit, but it's so chaotic that it's hilarious watching these characters just be awful human beings and like trip over each other and like in the end like they're all trying to compete for something and in the end they all fail because they're just sabotaging each other or something. Like that's hilarious. Whereas it's like the UK office is kind of painful to some degree. Like it hurts to watch characters go through
Yeah,
this,
like
even if they are reprehensible.
that's kind of why I don't get like cringe humor because like comedy's supposed to make me feel fucking like good, and like watching cringe, I just feel like I just like it makes my skin crawl a little bit. Like
I
it's
think
not what I find enjoyable from comedy.
I think it depends on the person. Like some people love, like I hate as well because you can like because everyone remembers like high school and shit where like you, and it was obviously never on this the level of these characters, but like maybe like you say something that was like fucking not funny or like a joke that doesn't land or something, and you just like wake up in the middle of the night thinking about it, just like like, and to that level you kind of relate to it, but like yeah, I don't know. I'm not the hugest on cringe humor either. At least not in this, not on this sort.
Unless it's a Leafy is here video. That's my favorite.
Oh yeah, the most cringe 4-year-old on the internet.
That Jax Films bit where it's just like the scrolling titles and he just like slaps the easy button to like pick like a randomized title for a Leafy video is so good. All right, but enough about cringe humor and Leafy is here. It's
Yeah, that
time
went
it's time for
off
it's
the
time for your
tangent.
turn to tell us why we should watch this podcast.
Oh, so I've got I got two potential ones. One is like a more standard, or one is I've found an online manifesto that links into the upcoming the upcoming segment, which is Getting Mad Online, which is when pros get mad at people.
Listen, I think that with all the disruptions we've had in this episode, I think we need a clean segue. So go with the second one.
Okay, so I'll say we should do Getting Mad Online, and then I will transfer to the Please Watch, which is it's pretty wild. But to go into that shit, so I'll just say we'll just quickly surmise what happened, which was uh another classic thing where a player doesn't play well. Analysts say they're not playing well, particularly Thorin, who like tends to say like he tends to say it with a bit of what's the
Bravado, I
word, like
guess.
a bit of maybe, but like
Pizzazz, maybe.
a bit of eccentricity.
Ah,
I don't know if I did that word right, but but essentially, yeah. And Snax tweets at him with this.
actually, I think flair's probably the best word for there because like
Yeah,
he
that's
tries to make it
true.
entertaining.
You're right. Yeah, like he I think don't think people think he's a hater, but like people don't understand this. It's kind of the same thing with Skip Bayless. They're entertainers above all else, and they understand that. But to quote the tweet, where he doesn't at Thorin, but it's very clearly about him. But it says, "If you are a CS critic and don't know anything about people in CS, that's a right place to cry. I see some mentally problems in chillhood gingeros. You trying to shout on internet. That's how you can forget past. I won't answer to you anymore. You are not a right person to talk to, but nice try."
Dude, my favorite part about this tweet is just where he goes after fucking Thorin's like childhood. Like that's the best part about this entire tweet. He's just
Dude,
like
it's so whack. It's
it's
so
so
fucking
no,
weird.
it's so great because it's so fucking insane. Like he's just drawing
Yeah.
these sweeping conclusions when he probably doesn't like I don't know what kind of private conversations they've had behind the scenes, but like I don't think Thorin goes around talking about his fucking like childhood growing up in like working class Britain. Like I don't think he does that. And like Snacks just like surmises like you grew up in like an abusive household or something, or you're just like
It's
this is
yeah.
how you cope with it.
It's insane. So the thing is, like, first of all, I wanna get past the point that we've gone over a few times in this like segment that doesn't have a name yet, but I like the working title I think is Gettin Mad Online, which pros coming out with this tweet where it's like if you weren't as good as them or you didn't play professionally, your opinion doesn't matter. And it's like it's one thing to say that you're not going to listen to them, but being like oh, blah blah blah, like just completely dismissing them is a bit whack, especially when it's someone like Thorin, where like regardless of what you think about his view of the game, he's been around the game for like 20 years, so he's still gonna have a pretty good understanding of it.
And like Thorin's had whack takes to be fair, but like saying that Snacks is a bad player right now as it stands when he's been bad for like 18 months, not a whack take at all.
And I mean, to be fair, like who has like everyone's gonna have whack takes.
Yeah,
Like we just haven't been around. Like we just haven't been doing these long enough to get found out. Like I've probably had some whack. I was on the Kusta bandwagon, dude. Like fuck, I didn't know. I mean, I'm not off it yet. I'm just putting that bandwagon on the sleeper side. You know, like I'm not letting it die yet.
Kusa's gonna come to C9 and he's gonna find his home. Trust.
Yeah, as long as he never has to play with any pressure, he's fine.
Yeah,
But
like he and Automatic are gonna become the next great Asian duo. My call him.
but like it's so uncalled for that Snacks like fucking is like trying to like bring up this like childhood abuse or some shit that he allegedly like is like thinks about, or like some dark shit from someone's past like when they're a fucking child, uh just because they said they don't like how you play a video game is kind of whack. But like my favorite part of the tweet I think might be that he ends with like the "but nice try," and he's like talking. He's just like I don't care. He's like just like he just you can see him just typing this. It's like right after they went out of the LAN after he played like shit mouse boards that kind of underwhelmed. And he's just like, I'm not mad though. I'm fucking not mad. Definitely not mad though. And it's like, bruh. I think Vince had that point where it's like, dude, you haven't tweeted in 3 years, and this is the first time you tweet, and it's to like complain about Thorin. Definitely mad,
Nope, nope, not mad. I'm not mad. I am very secure in my current team.
dude. And it's like, I don't know, like, cause even Thorin's Crown said let's like if he talks shit about someone, he's like come out, like let's have fun, like let's like fucking banter with it, because that's like a it's even like a cool entertainment storyline, which I agree with. Like I think it's good to some degree when analysts like have like an argument with a player or say that they're shit or something, even if they're overplaying it a bit, because it creates like, it gets in that player's head and they're going to be like, oh, I got to fucking come back, or they're going to create like an interesting storyline somehow. And that's like, that's a cool fucking point, but like, don't do it like this. Like, not like this, Snaxy. You just gotta chill, bud.
You're better than this.
If there's no more thoughts on that, I will transition to the please watch the podcast, which is it's pretty related because this came out like a day after, and this is like how the scene kind of responds to events like this. And this was a fucking crazy Reddit post, right? Where so this guy, so I immediately clicked it and it said something like the story of Taco, how the irony of bullying like ruined a man's career or something. And it might not have been that harsh about his career because his career is obviously not ruined, but essentially the guy postulates that the reason that people hate on Taco is because all the people in the scene are actually introverts who are bullied themselves, and they lash out trying to take their power back by cyberbullying Taco via Reddit threads, particularly post-match comment threads, which he alleges almost all pros check daily. He also says or insinuates at least that that he left SK because of the negative things people say about him, convinced Taco and SK that he wasn't good enough for SK anymore, when secretly he was the quote glue holding them together, the backbone they need to stand up, which very, very arguable, but let's sort of go on from there.
Like,
I do, sorry, go on.
I was gonna say like yeah, Taco was important to that team, but it's like the backbone of that fucking team. Are you crazy? coldzera was the #1 player for HLTV 2 years in a row.
Yeah, it's like team in crisis doesn't get fixed from crisis after kicking a player. It's like, well, that doesn't necessarily mean that was the wrong decision at all. Like, that's fucking a bit wild. But I've got some fucking quotes from this. Like, honestly, the only way to describe it is a manifesto, and it's either I'll say well-meaning insanity, because I think this guy means well, or it's like one of the all-time pasta memes I've ever seen. Like, this is either the greatest fucking thing this scene's ever produced, or it's just like fucking the ravings of a madman, who in this actually says that he's like 30. So you think he'd,
Man, if it,
you
I
think
wish
maybe
he
not,
said,
but
I
anyway.
wish he would have just like said I am 12 or something to just like cement that this is a copy pasta. But like making
Yeah.
it sound like it's 30, oof, this is thrown at all over. Like, this is wild speculation we're doing here.
The other thing is, this guy said that this thing got like a shitload of reverts. This was like top of Reddit at one point, or the CS:GO Reddit. But I'll go into these. I've got a few excerpts from it that are pretty good, because this is like, I cut it down because this is like 1,000 words this guy wrote on this fucking
This man
concept.
wrote an English essay.
Yeah, he really did. Like, says, I have only begun to conceptualize this through many, many years of researching and studying psychology. The psychology
Yes.
behind bullying is that most people under normal circumstance will bully those weaker than them. This even dates back to the Cro-Magnon ideologies behind
Yes.
alpha and beta males.
This is
The
so good.
The trend I am noticing, especially in this community, is a lot of these kids are bullied in their realities. And because they are not strong enough to stand up in person, they turn that insecurity in bullying others. The manifestation of this being represented as cyberbullying.
If Sigmund Freud was a CS:GO fan, this is what we'd get. He'd just go on Reddit and talk about how like all the best like great fucking like type A stars all want to fuck their mom.
This is genuinely, if Freud was on HLTV. I always talk about HLTV being the place where great minds meet. Like, this concept in the past where Einstein, all the great minds of his generation, would get together in these rooms and just discuss problems to try and work them out, and just like all combine their great thoughts. this is what HLTV is, and this is the great thesis that they've produced. But to go on the next thing, there's a part who says, memes are great, banter is lovely, but this community needs to draw a line in the sand and stay on the other side of it. Even if some of these pros are good at shrugging off negativity and not letting it affect them, there is a flip side to this coin, and it is damaging their psyche. Imagine being in a high pressure tournament trying to be focused in the moment, and you have lapses of, what is Reddit going to say after this match? You may think it sounds dumb, but I bet it happens far more than you know. Most of these teams now need a team psychologist just to deal with the pressure that comes with performing for their fans and representing their organization.
Fuck me.
So just to approach that, first of all, the point that's people saying mean things on Reddit about pro players, you should stop because it might affect them. That's part of being a professional in any sport. Any sport. Like, obviously it's ridiculous, like going back to the days where people were DDoSing servers and sending death threats every time you lost a game because they bet skins is like, ridiculous. But
like that is ridiculously unreasonable.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry. But it's such a whack postulation as well, and that's part of the pressure, and that's kind of good. Like, as crazy it seems, that's a cool storyline. Like watching Astralis overcome the choking thing, like or at least like mitigate it so heavily that they're a fantastic team, was such a cool fucking thing, because they would have been thinking that people are going to shit on them, you know. And like
now people shit on them because they ruined CS:GO.
Yeah, because they get shit on for being too good that people are bored. But like, I think that's crazy. Like and it's like, it kind of sucks, but like it's something that you've just got to get over, you know. Like that's just part of being a professional in like any. It's part about being your profession, being that you're in the public eye, is you're going to get people saying negative things, especially if you're bad. But
also, I guarantee you, like, I think that, like, if you're going to be a pro player, you have to be incredibly self-motivating. And I guarantee you, like, players are going to take their own self-criticisms a lot worse than they're going to take, like, these, like, dumbass motherfuckers on Reddit who are just like, oh, you're shit at the game because you don't get any frags.
And it honestly spurs a lot of players on, to be honest. Like, you don't know how they're going to respond to it. Like, I think Zeus responded, like, and he kind of made him a bit of an egomaniac, but like he responded somewhat well. Like, I think his motivation was boosted by the fact that everyone was fucking shitting on him because he was playing like shit. But the final the final segment is the final segment here is he's bloody got me, hasn't he? Look what he's gone and done here. He's put this in to catch the haters like me. He said, I apologize now if you find some of this offensive, but if you find this in a negative light, chances are it is you that needs to look in the mirror and take a deep, hard look at your own insecurities and find a better outlet for them instead of at the expense of others. Oh. It's always easier to tear someone down rather than build them up. Don't take the easy road.
Wow, that was a masterpiece. Oh Lord. The best.
Those are just the highlights of a manifesto, like a Reddit manifesto that was well received in this scene. God damn it. What happened?
Like what is this fucking scene if like this is what's well received by the community? Like this fucking the ramblings of like this guy with like a psychology degree from like University of Phoenix or some shit.
It's fucking. So he had an Astralis flare on the subreddit, but he like English and the talking about taco a whole bunch makes me think it was like an undercover Brazilian, like just like trying to be like, SK'd still be good if you weren't mean, Corral, like just like fucking that kind of shit. But I don't know. It's honestly, I think the guy means well, but like, this is such a fucking. There's some really crazy like postulations in here. Like, you can't make a lot of these claims. They're just not backed up or fair or, like, to be honest, reasonable. Like, he also says a bunch of stuff about how like this new generation of people is so driven by likes on Instagram and upvotes on Facebook and all that stuff, and like they're just shitting on people and posting these lowlights just to make them look bad. And it's like, I mean, to some degree, like people are like fucking karma hungry on Reddit, and that's fucking stupid. But like, I don't know, if people play bad, people are gonna joke about them being bad.
All right, I have a theory. If like, how many times did he reference social media a bunch throughout this whole thing?
A fair bit, yeah.
Oh, I have
It was all
I've
mainly
got to stay
about
woke
like
on
Reddit
this.
comments.
I've got to stay woke on this, man. Like this guy might actually be Drake. Like he made a whole
Oh my
album. He
god,
made a whole album about fucking like what social media does to relationships, and this is him taking that
bro.
that that to the next level of like professional esports.
Oh, this you cracked it, dude. This is fucking this is Drake's Reddit. He's just a huge SK fan. He's like, social media takes away everything from me. My women, my child, my
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 my my
favorite Counter Strike team.
my favorite balding beanie wearing motherfucker
my
who was named after
my
my favorite
Toronto
food.
Raptors. We would have beat LeBron.
Oh man.
People didn't keep clowning them. But it's I don't know. That was I don't know. That was kind of beautiful.
Performance art. All right, I think that's a good place to chop this off. If you want more excellent tweet threads about Reddit manifestos, follow Tom Sato on Twitter. And if you want, I guess, nothing, because I don't tweet, follow Jackalope322 on Twitter. Bye, everyone.